True or false? Is it possible to make 7 figures as an online tutor? The answer is yes. And in this video, I'll show you some of my clients who are already doing it, how they're scaling to 7 figures, and the exact scaling levers that they're making to quickly double, triple, quadruple their businesses so they can scale to 7 figures and beyond. Then I'll walk you through the 3 phases as an online tutoring business owner to scale from 0 all the way to 7 figures. Let's jump in. So here on the screen, you're going to see now some of my clients. We've got Dalton on the left, Alan in the middle, who we recently awarded our 7-figure Tutor Club award, and then Laurie over on the far right. So at the Teacher Project, we love to reward our clients. And what we'll end up doing is we reward them for recognition of their achievements. So some from 7 figures, 6 figures, the amount of students that they've achieved. So here's some of our 7-figure clients. You can see there, Dalton, 4x their business. You can see on the top right, this week I hit 1 million, almost 4x what I did last year. Thanks, Elliot, for pushing me that little bit more. And so there's Dalton, but it's not just about the income. Okay, some of our clients who've scaled to over 1,000 students. Here's Arif. When he was getting started, we rewarded him at one of our live Teacher Project live events. This was in London in 2024. He got the 500 student award. Tutu, you can see here on the right-hand side, scaled to 2,000 students across 10 countries. She went from 0 at the time I met Tutu to over 2,000 students, exactly like I was mentioning, across 10 countries. Some days she was enrolling 18 students in a single day, look. Okay. Now, how are they doing it? First of all, well, first you've actually got to acquire the students. Once you've got a solid acquisition process in place, it's really having the right scalable model to charge the right amount so you can continue to pour back into your advertising efforts and hire tutors and teams. And so we'll have a look next at what those pricing models look like, how you grow it, how you scale it. But the first thing, you actually need to have a predictable way to get students, because if you're stuck relying on referrals and word of mouth, well, in a day and age where you can literally just use social media to get in front of your ideal students, that's crazy, because sales or lead sales for your business is exactly like food and water is for your body. Without food and water, you're going to die and you're going to starve, dehydrate, right? And so same for the businesses. So most businesses don't grow to 7 figures simply because they don't dial in and focus and double down on one acquisition strategy. They try and juggle too many plates instead of just working out one particular strategy. So this is a typical strategy that we'll see our clients use, and they would run simple Facebook ads or whatever, Instagram, YouTube, and simply send them to an instant form on Facebook, okay, where they collect name, email, phone number. Okay, they would then give the parents or the students who opt in the opportunity to schedule a meeting on their calendar, which can be hosted on site, and then provide them with some homework. And this is like kind of the missing piece. Is a lot of online tutors try and grow their businesses just by running some simple Facebook ads or something like that, and then expecting the parent and the student to hop on the call on Zoom ready to buy, right? And if you think about that, referrals that you might have got from other students that you might already be teaching online, they've already made a buying decision because they already trust you. But when you start to use things like social media marketing like this, you are speaking to strangers who've only just seen you. They've clicked on one of your advertisements, and now you're expecting them to hand you over their hard-earned money. It's not going to happen, right? And so you have to have some form of homework to educate these prospects. Now, what you want to have inside of that homework, I'm just going to detail here. This is a written form. It's just an example I've got on the sheet. You might not do something like that. To be honest, a lot of our top clients, they provide some form of video, right? And that just educates the parent or student to make an educated decision. But whatever it is you provide, whether it's video form, whether it's written form, whether it's audio, whatever it is, it really wants to detail a few things. One, can you help them, right? Which is, hey, this is what you do. Like, what result are you looking for? So you detail about what you do for the students. The next thing they need to know is, how does it work? Okay. So you need to detail a method. What is the steps that you take at step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4? So you're educating them on your process as a teacher of how you take students from either struggling to winning in whatever subject it is you do. So what do you do step 1, step 2, step 3, and so on. So you need to have a clear methodology of how you help your students. And then the next question is, does it work? The goal is to be able to, of course, show some testimonials, show some case studies of students that you've worked with. Now, look, I get it in the beginning. If you're watching this thinking, yeah, I don't have any case studies or testimonials, you can talk about your experience as a teacher, how many students, how many years you've helped, or how many years you've been a teacher. That's fine. But as you go, you're going to need to, if you want to scale to 7 figures, you're going to be able to need to charge more, right? And you do that by, showing that what you do with your students works through case studies, reviews, testimonials. Now, the last question, so you want to be able to cover all of that before a potential Zoom consultation is, can you help? Hey, here's what I do for my students. Okay, that's what I want. So they're reading this document or watching this video. And you could also do that in the advertising copy, right? Which is why they would have came through in the beginning. So can you help? Next bit is, how does it work? So you detail your method. Next section is, does it work? Testimonials, case studies, or your authority and experience as a teacher. The last question they've got is, can it work for me or my child, depending on who the learner is? And that's what you do on the Zoom call. So that's all you want them coming into that last call with, is that last question. Can this work for me? Okay, and that's where you speak to them. Now, so that's generally the model. If you notice at the bottom of my screen, I've got something that says email, call, and grow your group. We don't particularly use that so much anymore, but essentially, not everybody, once they see one, so let's say they see your Facebook ad, they now enter their information on an instant form, which is a form in Facebook, give you your details. They're not all going to book into your calendar and just book a time to speak with you. You have to do lead follow-up. And to be honest with you, the teachers that I just shared with you who are bringing in 7 figures or more in their businesses, they follow up with their leads. And so a lot of teachers that I've seen could be making 6, some of them even 7 figures online, but they just don't follow up with their leads efficiently enough, or they don't pay enough attention to it, and therefore they don't grow fast enough. And so you have to follow up with your leads, and you can do that with things like email marketing, calling them up, SMS. And so another way is to obviously funnel them into like some sort of community group. It could even just be like a WhatsApp group, Facebook group, where you could provide weekly content, lessons to educate and provide more value to your students, prospects, probably the parents, and then give them the opportunity to book back in. Okay, so remember, like I said, these people are pretty much strangers when you're running like a more predictable acquisition model. So not everybody is just going to click on the ad, book in a call, and buy. You got to nurture them. Think about a conveyor belt in a factory. There's a whole different process all the way down the conveyor belt to make the finished product. And that's essentially what this is. We call this the student acquisition system. Okay. Guys, quick interrupt. I hope you're enjoying the video, but I wanted to make sure you picked up your copy of Teaching on Your Own Terms. It's my best-selling book, and it shares with you the exact 5 steps that I've used with over 2,000 teachers at this point, helping them build their dream online teaching businesses. It went to bestseller in 7 categories. It's been featured by NASDAQ in Times Square, New York City. And I know you're going to love it. Inside of the book, you're going to learn things like how to position yourself as the go-to tutor in the marketplace, and the offer that you can create to get your ideal students reaching out, and how to communicate that. I'll share with you what I've seen as the best advertising strategies to get in front of new students and parents who want what you've got, how to sell your services, and everything you actually need to include in an online group tutoring business to make sure your students crush it and get great results. There's some free gifts and bonuses in there. I think in the first couple of pages, there's a link. You can go and grab some free gifts on me. But I know you're going to love it. Teaching on Your Own Terms. I'll leave a link down below in the comments, and go and pick up your copy today. All right. Now, once you've got that, here are the scaling levers then. So I'm going to walk through 3 different scenarios first of what this could look like, so you can see how you can get to 7 figures, okay, in your own online tutoring business and serve over 1,000 students. So this is where you would start, scenario 1. So if you're looking at the screen, scenario 1 right over here. Yeah. Now, scenario 1, you would probably start off charging somewhere. This is right at the beginning of your teaching journey, tutoring online. $500 for 12 weeks. Okay. 5 students per group, 10 groups, 50 students, 500 times 50 over a 12-week period. That's about 25 grand per cycle. If you wanted to break that down over 3 months, it's about 8 grand circa. Yeah. Okay. Times that by, let's say that you can probably get in there 4 12-week periods in the month, in the year. That's about 100 grand. So there's a 6-figure business. Okay. And that's, you're obviously going to keep acquiring students because you've got a consistent way to get them. This isn't just going to fall out. The students aren't just going to fall from the sky, but that's the model of how you can see you could get to 6 figures on your own. Now, once you've done that, scenario 2 is you hire 2 other tutors. So if you were teaching 10 groups yourself, and I actually wouldn't teach any more than that. Reason being is because if you teach more than that, you're not going to be able to focus on improving your product, so curriculum design, speaking to new potential students so you can keep growing and make sure you've potentially got, like if students were to leave, you can bring students back in immediately, and that's how you keep growing, right? So at some point, you're going to need to hire other tutors. So you need to work on the business, not just in it. And so that's why I always see that the teachers and tutors who cap themselves at about 10 hours per week maximum, they set themselves up to scale. Okay. So now you just hire 2 tutors, you've tripled the business, right? So you've got 30 groups running. If you've got 10 and the 2 others have got 10 each, that's 150 students. This is with the same model, remember. So $500 times 150, 75 grand per cycle. Divide that by 3. Yeah, about 3 months, 25 grand a month. Obviously, like you're going to have like advertising costs. You're going to have to pay your teachers, things like that. But the whole goal is, of course, your business is continuing to grow. Right. And so now we have 10 tutors. So you can see how we've done this. Now you've got 110 groups, right? It's you plus 10. If everybody's got 10 groups each, 11 groups total, you and 10 other tutors, 550 students, 500 times 550, right, is 275 grand per cycle, 91 grand a month, give or take. Okay. That's a 7-figure run rate as a business. So that's how you could scale to 7 figures like this. Okay. But you obviously want to scale. That's assuming all you do is just hire more teammates. Okay. And that's more tutors obviously equals more reach, more impact, more income without more of your time. But I'm going to show you some scaling levers that my clients I shared at the start have typically used to grow their businesses so they're not spending more time in the business. They're working on it and they can improve their profit margins and things like that. Okay. So because if you didn't, make certain changes and all you did was hire tutors, you're probably not just going to, you're just not going to build, decent profit margins. Right. And so scaling scenario number 1, you could scale the group numbers and you could play with that. So you could have 10 tutors plus you, right? Now that would be 110 groups like we've already established. So 10 per group, but you'd put in 10 per group this time. So previously we had 5 a group. You've got to make a decision which scaling lever is the best for your specific tutoring business. Okay. Because sometimes it might not be possible to have 10 in a group for your business. So you need to use one of the other scaling levers, which we'll talk about in a second. And so if I had 10 a group, I've doubled the business, right? I have 550 students before, same amount of tutors, same team. All we've done is double the group. We can double the business that way because we can fit double the amount of students in without having to hire in any more costs in terms of labor. Okay. You keep the cost the same as well, price per student, but you've doubled your business from 275 a cycle over a 12-week period to 550 grand. Okay. That's 183K per month. Okay. So yeah. Now, so that's one scaling lever. Scaling lever number 2 is you can just play with your price point. Now you're always going to find based on, this will depend on a couple of things. One, what subject it is you teach and who you teach, because there's going to be a limit to what you can charge. For example, if I'm teaching a student to learn how to read and boost their reading skills in elementary school versus a student who's, trying to get into college and it's going to be worth tens of thousands for them to get a scholarship, obviously they're going to pay more because there's riding on it. There's more riding on it. Yeah. So that is going to come into play here. But we've seen, for example, reading teachers, using that example again, charge upwards of $2 grand for 12 weeks of tutoring. And so you don't change the group size on this scaling scenario. You just change the price. So it stays the same. Once you've got to 10 tutors and it's 110 groups, 5 groups, same amount of students then, so 550, but now you're charging $1 grand. Now, of course, the more testimonials, the more results, the better your sales skills get, the more experience you get, the more in demand you are, you're always going to be able to increase your rate. So that's something that I always suggest playing with, because there's going to be a price elasticity, which simply means how far you can stretch it until perhaps your enrollment rate goes down. Okay. So you want to test what that is. Now we've got exactly the same business model. This time, instead of, it's $1 grand of 550, 550K a cycle again, 183 grand a month. That's scaling scenario 2. Scaling scenario 3 then, you can play around with both. And this is where the real exponential growth is as an online tutor business owner. So let's say you had 10 tutors, 110 groups, 1,100 students, $1 grand per student. So now you're doing 1.1 mil per cycle, right? $1 grand times 1,100, that's 366 grand per month. Okay. And so I'm not saying this is completely possible for you because I don't know you and I don't know where your start point is, but what I am showing you is different ways that you could consider as a business owner to scale your student base, so in terms of numbers, and have more students in your groups if you're teaching groups online, with the same team and labor costs, or at the same time, increase your rate so that you can grow faster, or do a combo of both. So you can either scale group size, price, test the elasticity, or do a combo of both, which is where the real magic is. And this is some of the stuff that you can do. So you can either just do the teaching, and be this one-on-one tutoring business owner and essentially have a job, or you can build a business that does the teaching for you. And so I always think about there's going to be a different phase that you're starting from. And this is really the path to 7 figures as an online tutor. There's 3 phases to scale your impact and income and not your workload with online tutoring. And as phase 1, you're either at the side hustle phase, right? Launch, where you're just testing it out and you're getting your first few students. Phase 2 is about growing, when you're working on your skill sets, so improving your ability to market and advertise, get your students results so you can grow your student base, because obviously results equal sales, and then also your sales skills as well. So that's when we see teachers become a full-time tutor. But the real impact from there, there's really 2 ways. And the people or the clients that we've seen who've been able to build, multiple 6 and 7 figure online tutoring businesses, they choose to grow exponentially, not just linearly. So linearly is once you get to phase 2 and grow, it's like more students, more hours from you, right? And you're just growing your business like that. Yeah, it's just linear. Eventually it's going to cap out. Okay. Now, phase 3 is about impact, income, and independence. I call this the future teacher. You're at scale. You're growing exponentially through hiring teams, delegation, and automation. Okay. And so that's really it. That's our roadmap to scale to 7 figures. I already showed you some of the clients doing it that we're working with. And so if you're an online tutoring business owner, or you're getting started, wherever you are on this current scale, we can help you. One of the best ways to get started is by checking out my book, Teaching on Your Own Terms, where I dive deeper into things like the student acquisition system and what you need to provide to your students, what you even need to offer in a group, a premium group model to be able to charge higher rates. So it's going to be a great place to start if you haven't read it yet. It went to bestseller in 7 categories. I'll leave a link in the comments down below. You can go and pick it up. And look, if you like the video, hit subscribe, hit like, and I'll see you in the next one.